Time for problem 9.7. This is actually a partner problem with 9.6. They're meant to show you kind of two slightly different variations of the same question. On this one, we have to set up our hypotheses, and notice this car dealership also sells 5 cars a day. And so we say, well, what's our null hypothesis? Our null hypothesis is that our car dealership is going to sell 5 cars a day, because we know that's kind of the standard operating procedure for this car dealership. It also is trying a new ad campaign, and it wants to know if its ad campaign has boosted sales. So its mu is greater than 5. So we ended up with the same hypotheses for this problem as we had for the last problem, because both car dealerships averaged the same, and they both tried an ad campaign, and they're wanting to know, have we boosted sales? So the hypotheses are the same. However, there's one thing missing from this problem that was in the other one. The other problem said we know that we have a standard deviation of 2.25. This one, we don't know what the standard deviation is. So on this one, we have to use this one. Sigma is unknown. So since sigma is unknown, that means we have to use our t statistic instead of our z statistic. So here we get t equals x bar minus mu divided by s over the square root of n. Now, I don't know x bar and s because I'm just given a list of cars. So what do I need to do? I need to find x bar and s using my calculator. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to grab my calculator out. I'm going to go to the stat button. And I'm going to edit, and then here I'll do all these. If you just go up to the L1 and hit clear, it clears them all out. And now I have to type my numbers: 6, 5, 5, 3, 8, 9, 4. So there are my numbers written there. And then I'll quit. I'll go back to stat, calc, one variable statistics, and hit enter. And there we can see our x bar, and we can see our s. So I will write those down. And so x bar was 5.714, and s was 2.138. Again, if you use slightly more or slightly less decimals, that's not really a big deal. I mean, you should probably at least 2 decimals. It'd be kind of silly to have only 1. Okay, so here are our numbers. And finally, I kind of also need to know n. And what is n? Well, n is just what we get when we count how many different days it sells. And so we had 7 days, and so n is just 7. So now I can calculate my my test statistic. I just put all these numbers in my formula, divided by 2.138 over the square root of 7. So I just put all those numbers in my formula and see what we get out. So let's type those in. Open parentheses, 5.714 minus 5, close parentheses, open parentheses, 2.138 divided by the square root of 7. And I got 0.88 for my t value. So I got t equals 0.8835. So how about 0.884? That seems reasonable. Okay, so there's my t value. Now I'm ready to find my p value for my problem. And to find a p value, I always start by drawing my picture. I mean, I guess you don't have to draw your picture, but I just think it makes life so much easier. Now down here we've got the 0.884, and since we have a greater than problem, we're using the right hand side, and so this is the p value that we're looking for. And so p is that value right here. So we're doing a t statistic, so I'm going to do t CDF. For my lower, I'm going to have the 0.884. For my upper, I'm just going to have some really big number. And then finally, for my degrees of freedom, I'm going to have 1 minus n. N was 7, so I'm going to do 6 for my degrees of freedom. Put all those in my calculator. I'm going to go to second distribution, come down to T CDF, and type all my stuff in, 0.884. Hit enter, and I got 0.205 for my results. Okay, now we're ready to find my conclusion. Again, I'm comparing alpha equal to 0.05. And how do I compare these? Well, notice my number is much bigger than alpha. So my p-value of 0.205 is much bigger than alpha. So since p is bigger than alpha, once again, just like the last problem, I fail to reject H0. So what we find is that these car dealerships are trying some things, and we haven't seen a lot of evidence yet that they're making a big difference. However, this car dealership, because their X-bar was so large, there might be hope that if they did more than 7 days, if they did, 30 days like the other car dealership and continued this trend, maybe they could do something. All right, that was on page 49. Why don't you go ahead and flip over to page 50, and we'll do that one first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about our calculators in just a minute. So see you on exercise 9.8 after you've given it a go.